Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the nervous tissue, which is the last topic of the histology topic. Okay, so let's take a look at the nervous tissue. So it's also called the neural tissue, the nerve tissue, nervous tissue. And it's specialized for conducting electrical impulses. This is responsible for basically sensing internal or external environment. I'm going to have another video where I'm going to talk about the nervous tissue in detail. But this is just, a brief introduction to that. So it processes information and controls responses. It's made up of nerve cells or neurons. And going back to what I said earlier about sensing internal or external environment, the way your body can know what's going on the outside is actually through the nervous tissue. So this is really important. We can talk about it's part of like the special senses, but those have to be connected to the nervous tissue as well. So we're going to see here, this is what the nervous tissue looks like under the microscope. I'm going to show you a diagram of it, but there are certain parts of the nervous system, the nervous tissue rather, which is going to be the cell body. So this is a nerve cell that we're looking at here. A whole bunch of nerve cell becomes a nerve tissue, and we're going to find them in the brain, obviously, in the spinal cord, and the nerves that are basically extensions of both the brain and the spinal cord. So let's take a look now at the next slide, which is neuron. Another word, is just a fancy word for nerve cell. Don't let that word scare you. It's a nerve cell. It's just a neuron. Someone has a problem with their nerves, they go see a neurologist. That's where that word is coming from. A neurologist. Neurons, they are the ones that are doing the most job. They're active cells. And then they also have neuroglia. I like to call them the personal assistant. They make the job of the neurons easier. And they are also supporting cells. There's a lot of supporting cells. There's like 4 of them. We're going to see them in the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So we're going to, again, find these in the brain, the spinal cord, and nerves. And so this is going to be what the diagram of the neuron looks like. So one of the things you would have noticed is that it doesn't look like a typical cell. All right. And I mentioned when we were talking about cells that cells are very unique. They all will have the same composition of cytoplasm, plasma membrane, and then the nucleus. And then obviously we might have some variations. And the neuron is different. That this blue thing right here, we call that the cell body. This is where the nucleus is usually going to be found. The organelles like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum. I'm also going to be talking more about this, like I said, in the nervous tissue video. But one of the things you're going to notice that you don't normally see in other cells are extensions coming off of the cell body. These are called dendrites. Okay, these dendrites, their job is to pick up information. All right, they're going to pick up the signal, and then that information will be processed in the cell body, and it will be sent out through something else called the axon. So this is axon right here with the endings, we call it the terminal knobs or axon terminals. They land on other nerves, they're going to land on other muscles, other cells, and basically they're there to transmit the information. So sometimes the axon is surrounded by what we call the myelin sheath, which is basically, we call it sheath because there are layers and layers of myelin surrounding the axon, but there are also going to be spaces in between the myelin sheath. We call those spaces node or MVA. All right. This would become a lot more important when we start talking about nervous tissue in terms of conduction, how fast the information can be passed on from one cell to another. So again, you can see the layers wrapping around, the myelin wrapping around the axon. And if you ever wonder, okay, what makes the what makes the myelin, it's going to be by the Schwann cell right here. Nucleus of the Schwann cell usually will be on the axon itself, will be on the myelin, so you don't have to look elsewhere. So that's the basic, the basic stuff you need to know about the neuron. So let's just talk a little bit about the supporting cells, the neuroglia. I have 3 here, the astrocytes. They're really there to, support the cells. I'm going to be talking, like I said, I'm going to be talking more when I get to the nervous system. We have the oligodendroglia, which are actually synonymous to the Schwann cells. We see Schwann cells in peripheral nervous system, like the nerves in your hands, your feet. We're going to see oligodendroglia in the central nervous system, like your brain and spinal cord. And microglia, these act like they are more for, macrophages, clean up any debris. If you have a neuron that's not working very well, they're going to make sure they clean all that up. And the last one that's not included here is going to be the ependymal cells. We tend to see them lining the ventricles wherever there's CSF, basically moving that fluid around. I'm going to be talking more about this in the next coming video. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you. Bye-bye.